All right, welcome back to another edition of Live from Redhook here at the Function House, Tuesday night. You know how we do it every Tuesday. And tonight we'd like to welcome a very special guest DJ, DJ Rumor.
Hey, what's going on?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Welcome to the Function House.
Absolutely.
How are you?
Thanks. I'm doing well.
Awesome.
You've been watching the show?
I have. Yeah.
What do you think?
Enjoying it.
What do you think?
It's good stuff. Yeah. Happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, thanks for coming down, man.
Of course. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, it's it's something that we enjoy to do. Obviously, the show's been going on for 2.5 years, our third season.
Yep.
So we've had a nice, eclectic, diverse mix of DJs on the show, right?
Sure.
So tell us about you. Tell us about your story.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
what this is all about.
Absolutely. Well, it's 20 years now. I've been DJing since '98, and
You're an OG.
Yeah, OG. Absolutely.
You look young, man.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
I think it's the hair. You got hair.
Good hair.
So basically, born and raised in Westchester, White Plains, New York, not too far from the city. And I grew up the youngest of 5 kids, so I was always influenced by a lot of different music by my brothers and my sister. Everything from like 80s pop, new wave stuff to like classic hip hop, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Diggable Planets, like all that that whole era of hip hop. And that had a huge influence on me.
Any other like siblings into music?
Not as much as I ended up obviously being in, but there was CDs everywhere, just looking at different collections. And my parents too, like they were into like Sinatra and but also jazz and like some cool like 60s stuff. So I just heard a lot of different stuff growing up, and it definitely had an impact even prior to DJing. So basically, like I said, '98 is when I ended up getting turntables. I would see DJs around, at like whatever, like weddings and everything. But it was just seeing the turntables and just seeing that and just seeing guys manipulate the music in real time is what had a huge impact on me.
And you were hooked.
And I was hooked, yeah.
So who was like the first DJ that you saw DJing that gave you the buzz?
I can't, it was not necessarily like a name DJ, but just like DJs in general.
It doesn't have to be somebody famous.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was more just like, and seeing it on TV and things like that,
Yeah.
But yeah, so '98 is when I bought turntables like Belt Drive, Gemini, and eventually got the Technics 1200s. But I just but at the same time as I started DJing, I started getting into b-boying, breakdancing.
Okay.
And I was like immersed in both. Like I was like breaking all the time and just like really into it, and also DJing. So all at the same time, I started getting into like James Brown and like, Earth, Wind and Fire, all these like classic like funk, soul, disco records.
So where were you buying your records? So you're from White Plains, right?
So I'm from White Plains. There were a few spots in like New Rochelle and places like that, but for the most part, I would go to the city. I go to Rock and Soul.
Yeah.
That was always at Rock and Soul. But then also I go to actually I bought my equipment at Music Factory in the Bronx.
Okay.
And they also had one in Brooklyn I would go to, and Beat Street, of course.
Beat Street was the best.
Beat Street Records. So basically it was just like, just going and searching and finding, and of course buying all the early hip hop too. And the hip hop at that time, which was awesome, 98, 99, 2000. But I was also into house, like, going to clubs. And that's the other thing. All at the same time, I was going to clubs a lot and just being out there. And
What clubs were you hitting?
I was going to, it was like Exit, obviously.
Yep.
Let's see, Latin Quarter. Go to Palladium in New Rochelle. Not Palladium in the city. I never got to that one, but there was one in New Rochelle. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
And just
You might just be like 2 years too young.
Too young, yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. I was always knew about the Palladium in the city.
So did you know like the Westchester promoters like A-Love and Idol and those guys?
I never like knew them like all that well.
Because they ran a club in New Rochelle, right? I think it was called like Deep or something like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that spot.
Yeah, they had that spot for a while.
Yeah. But all this time, I wasn't really DJing clubs yet. Like I was like still doing. I was actually. Well, that's another thing I should mention. I was actually DJing b-boy battles. Like actual breaking. So I was like, at certain times, I would just be, that's almost all the music I was buying was like crazy 70s.
That's why when I asked you have any breaks, you're like, oh yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Plenty of breaks.
Yeah. And yeah, so I was DJing these battles throughout New York and other places, and that was for a few years, and then eventually I moved to the city in 2003, and that's when I started to do lounges and clubs and all that stuff, yeah, it just kind of went from there. So and yeah, I mean the club thing, I mean I've been doing that for a long time, but I also started getting into a lot more, especially more recently. I started doing a lot more events, like corporate events, private, working with like fashion brands.
That's where the money is.
Yeah, but also it's like you can get a lot more creative. Like I mean, not that you can, obviously you can get creative at clubs, but when you do these events, it's like sometimes they don't want to hear top 40. They don't want to hear, like they want to hear like cool underground, and not necessarily old school. I mean, it could be like current, but just like stuff that's like some more like disco-y kind of things, and it's like a deep house, soulful house.
And people are actually dance at these parties. At some of them, right?
Yeah. Some of them more atmospheric.
Yep.
But when they do dance, I mean, you can get away with some cool music selections. So yeah.
So how are you getting your gigs like for these types of events? Do you have like a managing company? You have your own entertainment company. Like how does that work for you?
So it's I don't have management. It's all my own. But it's like through like anything, through referrals.
Yep.
And getting to know the right people, and just making sure you do a good job when you do the gig, and hopefully that can lead to other work.
So the whole MSG thing, how did that come about? Because that really stuck out of your profile.
Yes. So I had a mix CD. I was doing a lot of different mix CDs and handing them out wherever I could. And eventually some people from the Garden actually ended up hearing it. And I got an email. And this is in 2008, actually. So they initially emailed me to do a guest DJ spot.
Okay.
And this is all, and so I wasn't the only one. There were some other DJs doing guest DJ spots at that time, 2008, 2009. I did it a few times. And then 2010, I eventually came on board in more of an in-house fashion. So doing Knicks games, and eventually a few years ago I started doing Ranger games. And so it's basically I'm taking my DJ, background, but applying it in a sports, arena, literally an arena,
Yeah.
So you're like warming up games, basically.
Yeah, so it's like pre-game. So if like at a Knicks game, for example, you hear a pre-game, like they call it walk-in music. So people are coming in, you hear that, and then all the timeouts, halftime, basically any time there's continuous music.
Okay.
Not necessarily during the game itself for Knicks, but. So yeah, any continuous band. Then the Rangers, that's different. That's you are hearing the music. Like we drop it in at the whistle, and also completely different styles of music.
So what's like the biggest banger for a Ranger game? Like what's the record that rings off at a Ranger game?
I mean they really they love the EDM stuff. Like house in general. But the classic rock stuff still works. I mean like a Led Zeppelin rock and roll, something like that, or. Obviously, Blitzkrieg Bop, like things like that. Are still
so is there, like, is somebody telling you like, all right, you have to stick with these genres of music? Are there songs that you can't actually play?
It's, I mean, obviously there's direction given.
So you can't play the dirty versions of any song.
Of course not. Of course,
cuss words.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's definitely no. But obviously there's direction given, but it's a collaboration. Because I work with the music director of Madison Square Garden, Ray Custodi. He oversees everything, and in the music aspect of things. And so we'll obviously discuss things. Okay, maybe we'll go this direction, that direction for Knicks and Rangers.
Okay.
So yeah.
How long you been doing that for?
Since 2010. Yeah. So
it's a great gig.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
So you have you're eared up, right? You have like a headset on, so they're
headset the whole time. So it's there's a game director and other things going on. There's the videos and
Send the Function House some tickets, man.
Yeah.
We like games.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, so it's definitely, it's a lot going on.
So
But
you have to get there how far in advance of the game?
hours and hours before, like many hours. Yeah, because there's rehearsals and each game is different. So like we'll have a game script and we'll that's another I always have the game script there and I'll be making notes and but after a while you get the hang of it. It's just
sure.
like okay, another game and that's the other thing is every game we really try to switch it up musically. We don't try to. I mean, there's always gonna be those certain songs that we're gonna play a lot because they're anthems.
Yep.
But we still try to really keep it mixed up and just be creative with it. I mean, people come there, especially people who are going to many different games. They don't want to hear the same songs every single game.
Of course not. Yeah.
So that's why we try to mix it up as much as possible.
And you're playing on turntables and
not turntables. When we do the guest DJ spots, which they still do at the Knicks games.
Yeah.
That's when like you're downstairs.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, that's
in the
like more
crowd.
courtside.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll do that as well as like a guest DJ, even though I work in house. But I'll do a guest DJ spot as well. But we have some guest DJs come in, and that's turntables, mixer. But up top, we're on the 10th floor working, overseeing everything. So we have a few different setups, but for the most part, we actually use like a Pioneer
controller. Okay.
Yeah. It's just compact.
Yeah, it makes it easier.
We also have an instant replay, an IR up there too. It's old school, It's really cool to have that still.
Yeah,
it's great. I mean, it works. You have different tracks ready to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great, man. You get to do both. You get to be in the arena, doing your thing, do the nightclubs.
Yeah. No, it's nice to like mix it up and yeah, absolutely.
So what clubs are you working in New York now? Is there any spots that you have weekly?
Yeah, well, right now I'm doing the Crown at 50 Bowery. It's a cool rooftop spot. Very cool, just like wide range of music that we play over there. And also Monarch, Midtown, and a few other spots like, other things that come up. But yeah, that's right now.
So you're an open format DJ.
Yeah.
So explain to us what
yeah.
Because I know there's some people that say they're open format.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, open format to me, it's a relatively new term, but to me, it's DJing. I mean, it's what DJing was way back in the day. I mean, you would hear like rock records next to electro, freestyle, hip hop, house. I mean, especially in New York, where it's such an eclectic.
What's funny is that open format, like in its originality, like when it first originated, it was more of like a mobile DJing thing,
right?
And it was actually frowned upon,
right?
If you were a DJ and you played some of these records,
right?
That are actually accepted upon today in that.
Yeah.
Being an open format DJ.
Yeah.
Because originally it was either you were like a house music DJ or you were a hip hop DJ.
And even the rooms at those clubs, it was hip hop, house.
And that's it. And there was no in between. And like if you were to throw a rock record on, then it would be like, holy shit, like what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
And
then it was only, when I guess the whole mashup craze and like AM was he was sort of like the whole West Coast crews were sort of breaking that mold, and then it came over to New York, and then like everybody started doing it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So like it's basically just an open format. I try to, every gig is different, obviously. So the context, it has to be applied. You can't just go in with what you want to do. You have to make the client happy. But that being said. I guess it's because of like the way I started playing with the b-boy stuff, mixing in all like finding all these old rare records and stuff. I still apply that, maybe not necessarily the same music, but just being able to mix in different genres seamlessly, and not always just like when people say rock, not only just like the played out rock. Like there's a lot of really cool stuff out there, and not just the usual disco or funk or anything like that. And of course hip hop, So that's really what I try to do when I do any kind of gig. I try to see where I can take it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you play like the new trap stuff?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Even at some of the venues I mentioned before. When all the new stuff, all the Drake, and we play a lot at the Knicks as well. And the Liberty, New York Liberty as well, which I also do. Yeah. Oh yeah. Future, all that stuff. Yeah. So it's
great.
it's important to have like, obviously have the old school,
Yeah.
As something that you grew up with, but being able to play current stuff.
Yeah.
and
But do you
making it work.
feel, like we've spoken to a lot of DJs and a lot of the older DJs, especially like DJs that come from our era, like not that they can't play the music of the current stuff, but like they don't gravitate towards it, like
Right.
obviously like the music that they came up with playing.
course.
You know what I'm
It
saying?
can be tough. It can be
You
tough.
know?
Yeah. I mean, you just you have to stay on top of it. I mean, I think that's important to just kind of know what's going on. It doesn't mean you have to love every song,
Right.
But be able to work it in as much as you can, and still work in some of the other stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of really good music out there, and currently there's still really, really cool music. You
Yeah.
just have to look for it a little bit.
Now, like I'll hear a record and it won't hit me right away. But then when I see a crowd react to it,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow, that
Right.
record's crazy.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
You know,
right.
So like it takes a little longer now
Exactly.
for me to understand these
Yeah.
records.
Right.
But then once I see a reaction from a crowd, like
makes-
it becomes like one
Yeah.
of my favorite records.
Right. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I guess if you're immersed, like if you're playing consistently where you can play those records,
Yeah.
then I guess you have a different appreciation for the records, and you'll have a better feel for them when you have to play music.
Yeah.
Like if you're not playing them a lot,
Yeah.
it's harder, to
Absolutely.
sort of gravitate towards it.
It has to be a consistent thing.
Yeah,
Once
yeah,
a
yeah.
consistency, then you get more used to it.
Sure.
So how often are you practicing?
I still practice a good amount. I
Yeah.
mean, coming from that whole like scratching, doing the just like with doubles of records. I mean, that's the era I come from. And again with vinyl, and I still buy vinyl as well. Not as often as I used to.
Yeah.
But I still do. It's I mean, I think it's
You have a
important.
setup in the house. You
Yeah,
wake
oh, yeah.
up. You start
I got the
cutting.
technique set up and to go at any time. Yeah,
That's great.
Absolutely.
So do you still love it?
I still love it. I do. I mean, it's not always perfect, but as long as all it takes is like hearing a few different songs, and I'm like, okay, yeah, like let's
Yeah.
I'm all into it. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, because it's sometimes people get burnt out.
yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes people lose the appreciation
Yeah.
of DJing, and then there are people who are just truly passionate about playing music.
Yeah. Definitely.
And that's good that you still have the love for it.
Yeah. Definitely do.
That's great.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing your set. Did you prepare something for us?
I did. I prepared. Yeah.
That's
Definitely prepared a set.
That's awesome.
He did some practicing.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for coming down, bro.
Absolutely,
We
guys.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much for having me.
We're going to take a
Really.
2-minute
Yeah,
break.
thank
We'll get
you.
rumor up on the set. Peace.
Peace.